shallots. They're like onions, only smaller. So I'm going to show you how to cook, pan fry a lovely fillet of fish. You will see how dry the skin is. That's really important. This has had at least, a few hours skin side up to really dry out. We're going to score the skin, then we're going to cook the fish, and that's it. It's going to be really quick. So let's go. So we've laid the fish out here, and what I have underneath is actually a steel. So this is just the one I have at home. I guess you could do this with maybe a wooden spoon or a spatula or something, but this is very good because the handle here gives it the height. But you see how this is bending over the steel. We actually do this at work. It's a really handy, I forgot you were there. It's a really handy tip. So because the skin is dry, even though our knife's sharp, what I'm gonna do is put a little bit of oil on the skin, because without the friction, it's gonna slice much easier. But if I add water, I've defeated the purpose of spending all that time drying it out. That's really gonna help. And then now, just with the bottom of our knife here, we're just going to have control, and we're just lightly going to score the skin. I've got control down this end, and that's what makes sure I don't go too deep, and also that I'm not cutting too long, because I don't want to cut into this part here. I just want the heat to penetrate where the fish is at its thickest there, okay? And that's it. So we've got our pan on, heavy bottom pan. We want to keep the heat in the pan. We're gonna go in with the oil, our temperature indicator, always. We wanna make sure, just like when we cooked our chicken, we really wanted the skin to be mostly under the oil. We were gonna get nice uniform skin that way. I'm gonna go on the fish with just some fine salt for this one, so the salt makes good contact with the skin. If you go on with the big flakes now, it's not going to stick very well. And then we're gonna put just a little bit of oil on the fish as well. So it's good to oil your pan, but it's also good to oil the product, especially when you've dried it out this much. And as always, we're gonna lay it away from us. Okay, now, you see this curl up? We're just gonna hold this down for a bit, okay? All fish does this. Fish to fish will be a different reaction, different temperatures of the fish, different age, all sorts of things, but they'll all relax. And we can feel that skin making really good contact with the pan, and the fish is gonna be cooking nice and even. That's why something like barramundi can be really, really difficult to cook, to get nice even skin, because it just curls up so hard. Okay, and now we can turn the heat back up slightly. So it's very, very similar to our chicken. If anything, the way that we cook our chicken is the way that you cook a piece of fish. And we just want to render the skin just kind of low and slow. We don't need to, it doesn't need to cook quickly, it's absolutely fine. And you can see that from the temperature that this went in at, it's already not sticking in the pan. And so that's wonderful, because we know we're not going to have any dramas later. If your fish does stick, don't stress. Everyone tries to scrape it off because they freak out, If your fish sticks, just go for a Hail Mary. Just try to cook the whole thing on the skin, because once you've actually rendered enough of the liquid out, you can often just get underneath and pop the whole piece of fish off, and you'd be surprised at how perfect you can get the skin if you do that right. But honestly, if your fish sticks, just go all the way. Don't worry about trying to rag the thing around, because it's never going to work. Just cook it till there's no more moisture. But this is very good because we already dried that skin out. We're looking for this to come up to really about here once it's cooked up to this point, because you can see the white is cooked fish and the pink is not. But we don't want this to be completely cooked all the way through. We're really going for just sort of medium well. I think it'd be very nice. So a good way to keep the temperature down in the pan is to go in with butter, and now's a good time as well for the cooking. More butter, more better. And we can just see that the fish is just very, very happy. So it's really about not moving the fish around very much. I'm going to get underneath it just to make sure that the fat is getting all the way to the middle. Just to make sure that it's definitely sitting with all the skin nice and crispy, because when we turn this over, just like our chicken, it's always a Hail Mary with the way that we cook, because this is the only piece of fish I'm cooking. So we just put a little bit of heat over the top. This is really beautiful. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this thing over. We're just going to leave it on the other side for just a few seconds, really not very long whatsoever. And then we're going to take it out and rest it on here. And so now we just let that, see how the skin's puffed up here? That's really beautiful. And that's it, we're just going to give it that long on this side, and then take it out, and we're just going to let that rest. So now we're just going to cut into our fish. So because we rested it and the way that we cooked it, what we're going to get is this beautiful, succulent, absolutely wonderful piece of pan-fried snapper. And it's just absolutely sensational. Shallots, they're like onions, only smaller.